when I found an ATM receipt tucked inside my wallet with my name printed on it, clearly there, but not my linked account number anywhere visible. I assumed it was some odd technical error. But then I noticed the small message printed quietly across. The bottom, it said, "Check your account. Take the money. Disappear before sunrise. They'll come for you if you stay." At first, I laughed without thinking. I thought it sounded like some bizarre joke. But when I opened my banking app and saw the staggering amount, $847,000, sitting unexpectedly inside, my laughter instantly vanished. My chest clenched tightly, and my hands trembled. That money wasn't mine. I had no understanding whose funds those were or how it transferred into my account suddenly. But that night, when I reviewed the security footage from the ATM, what I witnessed made me wish deeply that I had escaped earlier when I still had the chance to leave. Hi everyone, my name's Tessa, and this is the story of how one strange receipt nearly cost me my life. Before we start, make sure to subscribe for more real mystery content and comment where you're watching from right now. Let's begin. My name is Tessa Monroe, and I'm 28 years old. I work as a freelance journalist in Seattle. I spend most days chasing tiny local stories that barely allow me to keep paying rent. It's not very glamorous, but I've always enjoyed digging beneath the surface to uncover hidden truths. I guess you could say I've always been a little too curious for my own good. It was a gray Saturday afternoon in early October, cold and windy. I had just completed an interview for a small story about a missing neighborhood dog case. My car was running dangerously low on gas, so I stopped beside an ATM downtown hoping to grab the last $40 remaining inside. My account at that moment early that morning. I remember standing there exhausted, half awake, barely thinking while waiting for the machine to dispense the cash into my cold shaking hands slowly. The wind hit hard, and I wondered briefly how far I'd fallen from the stories I once dreamed of writing. When I reached home that evening, everything felt normal, peaceful, completely ordinary. I made myself coffee, fed my quiet cat, and sat down sorting through all my notes. I opened my wallet to grab a receipt, and that's when I noticed something unusual tucked behind my debit card. A small extra slip carefully folded with precision. I frowned instantly, confused. I hadn't seen it there at any time. When I unfolded it, I realized it was an ATM receipt different from the one printed earlier during my withdrawal. The timestamp showed 3:17 p.m., which confused me. I had visited the ATM around 9:30 a.m. that same morning. My first thought was the machine must have printed an extra slip by accident somehow earlier. But then I looked at the transaction. Details printed clearly on it. It listed my name, my bank, and the same final 4 digits of my personal account. But the issue was, it didn't show withdrawal. It showed a deposit. The amount was $847,000. I stared at it, thinking my mind was playing tricks on me. I checked the date again carefully to confirm. It was today exactly. I flipped the receipt over, searching for clues, but what I saw made my stomach twist. Printed faintly in gray ink just below the balance were the words, "Check your account. Take the money, disappear before sunrise. They'll come for you if you stay." My first instinct was to call the bank, but then I froze completely, unable to breathe. What if someone hacked my account or information? What if the money was illegal or dangerous? I tried rationalizing everything, telling myself it had to be some glitch, but the words repeated over and over relentlessly. "They'll come for you." I pulled out my phone immediately and opened my banking app slowly. I typed in my password while my heartbeat hammered violently inside me. As the screen loaded, my stomach tightened further. There it was displayed. Then, balance read $847,532. I stared for nearly a full minute, trying to breathe without panicking. Just that morning, I had exactly 43 25s. I called my younger brother, Ethan, immediately tonight. He's a finance student, the logical, calm thinker inside our entire family. "Ethan," I whispered shakily, my voice trembling hard. "There's nearly $1 million suddenly in my account right now, somehow." He actually laughed first. "You're joking?" He said, "I'm not joking, Ethan. It's real. Completely real. Sitting right here." He exhaled heavily then. "Then it's a mistake. Don't touch that money. Call the bank tomorrow, first thing in morning." "It came with message," I told him quietly. "What message?" he asked. I read it slowly to him, word for word, exactly as printed. There was a long silence stretching between us. Finally, he responded softly, "Tess, this sounds like one of those scam setups. Just don't move the money. Leave it alone completely for now." I said I agreed, but deep inside, I knew I wouldn't sleep even a single minute. Later, I checked my wallet again, anxiously searching. I flipped the receipt over and over, repeatedly looking for any clue that might prove fake. The paper felt warm from my constant handling, creased sharply from folding, but everything felt real. The ink appeared exactly like genuine ATM print. Then I noticed something else hiding near top, tiny printed numbers showing a machine identification. Code, it matched the same ATM I had used earlier that very morning. That meant whoever printed this slip had used the same machine hours after I visited it. I couldn't stop thinking about every strange detail. Why would someone use my name and account? How could they even access anything of mine? By midnight, my curiosity won completely over fear. I decided to check the ATM security footage. A contact at a small local security firm from a past investigative story written. I sent him a message asking if he could pull footage recorded around 3 p.m. that day. He replied 5 minutes later with a message. "Give me 1 hour." While I waited there, I kept staring hard at my phone screen, watching the balance remain frozen at $84,732 displayed. I told myself repeatedly I'd move the money in the morning safely after confirming everything wasn't some bizarre system glitch. But before that hour was even fully over, my friend messaged back. He said, "You need to see this immediately. Whoever used that ATM wasn't just using your card. Kay looked exactly like you physically, Tessa." My heart started racing as I read that message over and over. "They looked exactly like you," he had written. I stared at the screen, trying to understand what he possibly meant. I called him instantly. He answered on second ring, voice low, tense. "Tessa, I don't know what this truly is, but the woman in the footage has your face completely. Same jacket, same hairstyle, same posture, even the way you stand. It's actually you." I felt a chill run hard through my entire body instantly there. "That's impossible," I whispered. I was home throughout the entire afternoon hours. He told me he'd send the video clip, but I almost didn't want to watch it. When it arrived finally, I opened it with my shaking, nervous hands. The video was grainy, but clear enough to see her full face. The woman walked up to the ATM calmly, inserted a card slowly, and tapped the screen. She looked calm, almost mechanical in her actions. Then she looked up directly into the camera. Her eyes met the lens intensely for seconds, and for a moment it genuinely looked like I was staring at my own reflected self. I froze completely still. My mouth went dry. I replayed the clip again and again, hoping I'd spot some detail, proving it wasn't me. But every small movement, the way she tucked her hair behind ear, the tilt of head, it was all me. I called Ethan again, my voice trembling harder. "There's a woman using my account and she looks exactly like me." He paused before saying, "You're overthinking this, Tess. Maybe it's someone who just happens to look similar enough to confuse." I wanted to believe him desperately, but couldn't. There was something strange about the way she looked right into camera. It wasn't random glancing. It felt intentional, almost like she somehow knew I'd eventually be watching. I didn't sleep at all throughout that night. Okay? I locked all doors and checked my windows twice while breathing unevenly. My cat kept pacing, tail puffed anxiously high, staring toward the hallway. Every tiny sound made me flinch uncontrollably. Inside, around 2 a.m., I checked my banking app again, hoping for change. The balance was still there, unchanged, completely untouched. No withdrawals, no movements. I stared at that number, reading 847,532, frozen, and tried convincing myself I wasn't actually in danger despite everything happening. But the note printed on the receipt kept echoing inside my mind. Disappear before the sunrise. The next morning, I went straight to the bank. The teller gave me. A polite smile appeared as I handed her the receipt slowly across. I think there's been an error, I said. She took it carefully, typed something into her computer, then abruptly frowned. Can I see your ID, please? She asked. I handed it over. She checked the screen again, her expression shifting from confusion into unease. Miss Monroe, can you wait just one moment? She left her station and walked into a small back office room. I could see her through the glass window, speaking quietly with a man wearing a suit. They kept glancing toward me repeatedly with concern. My pulse quickened sharply then. When she came back, she said, "We're verifying a few things here. Ken, you tell me where you were yesterday around 3 p.m. Exactly." My stomach dropped instantly. At home, I whispered, "Why are you asking?" The woman didn't respond. Instead, she simply said, "A deposit this large is under investigation currently. You'll need to meet our fraud department immediately." Before I could respond, my phone buzzed suddenly with a new text from an unknown number. It read, "You shouldn't have gone over there." I looked around nervously, my heartbeat pounding hard. Nobody inside the bank seemed to notice anything. I left immediately frightened, too scared to continue the conversation any longer. When I reached my car outside, a man sat inside a dark SUV across the street, staring directly straight at me without looking away. I started the car, but when I turned the corner, I checked my rearview mirror fast and saw the SUV driving right behind me. I sped up quickly, turning down random streets, trying desperately to lose whoever was following me. Finally, after 10 minutes of panic driving chaos, the SUV was gone. My hands trembled hard as I pulled over, trying to catch breath. I had no idea what was happening now or who was responsible. I drove straight toward Ethan's apartment for help. When I told him everything that had happened, he didn't try calming me down this time. He saw how terrified and shaken I was. "We have to call the police," he said. But before he dialed, my phone rang again. It was a blocked number calling me directly. I answered softly, whispering, "Who is this calling?" There was a pause. Then a distorted voice said, "You weren't supposed to check that footage." My entire body froze. "Who are you?" I demanded shakily into phone. The line went dead. Ethan grabbed my phone. "This isn't normal, Tess. This isn't identity theft. Someone is targeting you." I nodded silently, terrified. We went to the nearest police station immediately and met Detective Jordan Hale, who listened. Carefully, I explained everything slowly. The money, the message, the woman on camera, and every threatening text. He didn't laugh once or doubt my story. Instead, he leaned forward and asked me, "Do you still have that receipt with you now?" I handed it over, studied it under the overhead bright light. "This isn't a normal ATM receipt," he said. "It's printed using a private machine, not connected to any major bank." I frowned in confusion. "And how did it get linked with my bank account information then?" He looked at me, eyes full of concern. "That's what worries me. Someone's using you as a front for something. They want the deposit to appear completely yours." I asked what that meant exactly, but he didn't answer immediately then. Instead, he opened a file on his computer and showed me 2 photographs side by side. "You're not the first person this happened to. 2 others in state received the same deposit, the same printed message, and both of them vanished within 48 hours. My chest tightened painfully. "Vanished," I repeated quietly. He nodded very slowly. No trace, no withdrawal, just completely gone afterwards. Ethan leaned forward, concerned. Then what do we do now about this? Jordan looked at me. If this is connected to the same group, they'll come for you soon, likely very soon. You need to leave tonight for your safety. I felt my world begin spinning uncontrollably fast. I wanted to believe this was misunderstanding, nothing serious, nothing truly dangerous. But deep down inside, I knew it wasn't. The note had warned me to disappear before sunrise, and now suddenly I understood the reason. I left the police station that same night feeling like my entire world had flipped upside. The cold air struck my face as I stepped outside, trembling hard. But it didn't wake me from the nightmare I was already living. I kept replaying Detective Hale's words over again. 2 others had vanished within only 2 days. My phone stayed clutched tightly in my hand, my fingers trembling nonstop. Every vibration made me jump like I'd been shocked deeply each time. I didn't know who sent the messages or how they were watching, but I knew one thing with certainty now. I couldn't go home. Ethan drove us back to his apartment silently. Neither of us spoke much during the ride. He kept glancing at the rear view mirror, constantly making sure no one was following behind us. When we entered the parking lot finally, I noticed an unmarked white van parked 2 spaces away with tinted windows. Its engine was running even though no one was sitting inside it. "Don't look," Ethan whispered, seeing my body tense. "Just keep walking straight." Inside, he locked every door tightly and pulled all the curtains shut. I sat on his couch trying to steady my breathing, trembling wildly. "What do we do now?" I asked quietly. He rubbed his face, thinking through everything carefully. "You need to get out of town tonight. I'll drive you to the station and you can take a bus anywhere far and safe." My stomach twisted hard. "Ethan, what about you?" He shook his head. "I'll be completely fine. Whoever these people are, they're after you only, not me at all." I wanted to argue, but couldn't force words. I knew he was right, even if terrifying. Whoever was behind this wanted the account holder. Me, not anyone. Else, we packed extremely fast. I only took what could fit inside one small backpack, including laptop, a few clothes, my ID, and a flash drive containing all copies, the ATM footage, statements, and every threatening text. Ethan filled my gas tank, then handed me a prepaid backup phone. "Use this instead now," he said firmly, serious. "If you get messages, don't answer any messages." Before leaving, I called Detective Hale one more time, telling him everything. "I'm leaving the city," I said quietly, whispering. "You were absolutely right. They're definitely watching me." He hesitated before answering. "Good, but don't tell me where you're going. If this is connected to something much bigger, even my system might already be compromised somehow. Just stay hidden now." His voice dropped lower. "And Tessa, if you see her again ever, the woman from footage, don't approach her, ever." "Why?" I asked shakily. He paused before saying, "Because I'm not sure she's someone you can reason with at all." That sentence replayed continuously inside my thoughts as I drove through empty streets nearing almost midnight. The city lights faded in my rearview mirror, replaced by dark highway stretching far out ahead. The farther I traveled, the heavier the air felt pressing on me. Around 1 a.m. exactly, I stopped at a rest area to breathe. The parking lot was empty except for one other car several spaces away, sitting completely still. I sat in the driver's seat, gripping tightly onto the steering wheel. Shh! I couldn't shake the feeling someone was watching. I turned on my phone to check messages for only a second. There was a new one waiting for me. It read, "You can't run from yourself," the message whispered. I dropped my phone instantly, my pulse hammering in panic. I lifted my eyes slowly and froze where I stood. Across the dim parking lot, a figure waited beneath flickering streetlight. Shadows unmoving and silent. A woman wearing my coat. the same black one seen in the ATM footage earlier. Even from that distance, I could trace her features, my features impossibly identical. Perfect. I turned the key hard and slammed my foot down. Gravel exploded under spinning tires as I raced away, trembling, heart pounding so violently loud. I could barely think clearly. I didn't dare look behind me for miles ahead. But once I finally checked, far in the distant darkness, 2 headlights followed my path. Panic rose heavy inside, so I left the highway, pulling onto a narrow road, cutting through thick wooded areas. My phone buzzed suddenly again, lighting the car's dark interior. Another message appeared instantly. You shouldn't have looked earlier. Now you're part of it. I wanted to throw it out the window immediately, screaming, but I needed every clue. I needed to understand anything. I stopped by an abandoned gas station buried in shadows and forced myself to think. Then I remembered the flash drive tucked inside my bag. I plugged it into my laptop with shaking hands. The ATM footage reloaded slowly, and I zoomed frame by frame into the glass door reflection. At first, I assumed nothing, just a shadow behind her. But then another figure appeared. A man standing behind her, blurred, but there without moving. The reflection distorted his face, but the shape was familiar. It was the same man who watched from the SUV near the bank earlier today. Cold realization hit me hard. They weren't only copying me. They were rebuilding my life, tracking everything I did, using my name everywhere, planting evidence perfectly. Identical. Maybe they wanted to replace me entirely, step by step. I restarted the car quickly and drove aimlessly through back roads until a motel sign appeared. It was nearly 3 a.m. I paid cash under a fake name for safety and went straight to hiding. I locked my door immediately, shut the blinds completely tight, and sat alone in darkness. The air conditioner hummed quietly as I told myself repeatedly I'd leave again before sunrise, just like the warning said. But I needed real answers before running blindly forever again. I opened my laptop, trembling, and wrote down every detail, each moment since finding that receipt inside the ATM earlier. If I vanished like others, someone needed to understand. Everything. Then something new appeared suddenly. A message box popped up. Someone had accessed my document and words began typing themselves. "Stop running, Tessa. You're writing this from the wrong account." My entire body turned cold. I slammed the laptop shut, frozen completely in the dark. I wasn't only being watched. They were inside everything already. My files, my devices, everything. My reflection on the dark screen stared back, pale, horrified, almost unrecognizable to myself now. I shut off the laptop, pulled the flash drive out, my pulse pounding violently hard. I wanted to call Ethan or Detective Hale for help, but my phone was dark. Not dead, completely wiped clean. I forced myself to breathe and refused to panic instantly. I grabbed the motel landline and called Detective Hale slowly. He answered, sounding already tense. "Someone's hacking everything around me. My phone, my laptop, everything. They know exactly where I am hiding right this moment." He didn't sound surprised now. I expected they'd move quickly. "Tessa, listen to me carefully. We traced the ATM network to an address outside the city tied to Valen. Systems, they use that old building as a hidden data hub for these strange money deposits." He paused and lowered voice. "If you want real answers, that's where you will find them waiting, but not alone." Then the call went dead. Breathing echoed faintly behind static, followed by a soft click. My whole body chilled instantly. I knew I should run far away in the opposite direction, but something stronger pushed. I needed truth behind everything. Why someone mirrored my face. Why they deposited that money. Why the message warned disappearance. When I reached the warehouse, darkness still clung to everything with dawn faintly graying sky. The building loomed, half collapsed, surrounded by cracked pavements scattered with weeds twisting through concrete. My headlights flashed across a faded sign reading Valen Systems Data Storage in peeling letters. Every instinct screamed at me to turn around and flee, but I forced myself forward. I parked behind dumpsters quietly and stepped out gripping flashlight. Inside smelled like dust, metal, and old forgotten electricity lingering. Broken screens littered the floor. Cables hung overhead like webs. In the far corner glowed a single monitor faintly alive. No power should have been running, no generator or active connection. Yet the screen waited, flickering patiently. My footsteps echoed as I walked closer through scattered debris. When I finally read it, I froze completely in place. A video was already playing the same ATM footage again, the same woman mirrored perfectly. But this time the footage didn't end when she left. The camera followed her quietly as she turned and walked toward a dark, shadowed alley. She opened a door leading to an unmarked, hidden building. Then the feed glitched suddenly. Now she sat in this very warehouse on a chair, staring straight into another camera. Her lips moved silently first until audio cleared and sharpened. Her voice whispered coldly, "You should have disappeared earlier when you had the chance." The screen flickered violently twice and switched into a live feed showing a narrow hallway. It was outside the very room I now stood inside. My stomach dropped instantly when I realized what I watched. Someone was walking toward me. I turned off the flashlight slowly while retreating. My vision adjusted within seconds to the dimness, as a shadow formed clearly inside the doorway. She walked inward wearing that same black coat I'd noticed on footage. Her movements stayed calm and steady, almost mechanical. The sight weakened my legs instantly and deeply. She was me completely, not just similar, identical. Same clothes, same expression, same wrist scar visible. She offered a faint smile that felt wrong. "I told you not to check the footage." My voice trembled slightly. "Who are you exactly?" She tilted her head as though confused briefly. "I'm you, Tessa, or the version I was meant to be originally." I stumbled back hard. "This can't be real." She stepped closer slowly. "You think you're original? You think your life has always been yours?" Her voice stayed calm, yet sharp like glass. "You're a manufactured replacement created to mask a transfer. You were built simply to move their money through an untouched identity. But you weren't supposed to start questioning anything?" I shook my head. "That sounds completely insane." She laughed very quietly. "Is it truly insane? Why are your memories before 21 blurry shadows? Why does no one recall your parents clearly? They erased all traces. Asterisk," she pointed toward the glitching monitor behind me. "Anyone who grows curious gets deleted and replaced." I struggled to breathe, mind racing through everything. Photos, birthdays, friendships, moments. Were any memories real? My knees weakened again, but I kept standing. "If that's true, then what exactly are you?" She smiled once more. "The previous surviving version." Before I could react, she lunged toward me. I fought instinctively hard, knocking over the table as sparks erupted everywhere. The monitor shattered wide, filling the room bright. She grabbed my arm, her grip ice cold, unnatural. I reached for the flashlight and swung hard. It struck her face and forced her backward. She fell against the monitor as it flashed. Then everything went dark. When I opened my eyes again, I was lying outside on pavement. The sun barely rose. The warehouse stayed silent, its front door open. My head pulsed painfully, but somehow I lived. My real phone rested inside my pocket again, its cracked screen glowing. One message appeared softly. "You're safe now. Its transfer has been fully completed." I deleted it immediately and threw the phone far away from me. My shaking legs carried me to the car. I drove away quickly, watching the warehouse shrink to nothing behind me. At town's final edge, I checked a mirror near the gas station and froze, instantly shocked. In the reflection behind me stood that woman, and she wasn't matching my movements whatsoever anymore. She only smiled eerily. The morning sun rose higher as I finally stopped at a diner 2 towns farther away. My trembling hands gripped the wheel while staring at my own reflection. My face looked unchanged, but something felt wrong, something hollow and missing. The night replayed endlessly. The warehouse, the double. Her voice whispering clearly, "You were meant to vanish without leaving trace." Every word clung tightly like a shadow unshakable. Inside the diner, warm coffee scent filled everything. The waitress smiled kindly, asking, "Rough morning, huh?" I nodded and sat quietly beside the window. She brought fresh coffee, and I noticed television playing in the corner. My heart instantly stopped as my name echoed. Authorities are investigating explosions at Valence Systems warehouse found earlier this morning. One recovered body reportedly matches journalist Tessa Monroe. The cup nearly slipped straight from my hand. My picture flashed on screen, my face, my identity. To the world now I no longer lived. The waitress looked up, then glanced toward me, unaware of my resemblance. "Crazy world we live in," she whispered quietly. I nodded, answering numbly. "Yeah, unbelievably crazy indeed." I pulled my hood up and turned away. For several minutes I sat letting truth settle. If they believed I died, maybe this offered a chance to restart. But the thought felt empty instead of comforting. Who was I now? The survivor or copy occupying someone else's life? I drove 4 hours, only stopping for gas. Every time I looked into a reflective surface, I saw a stranger mirrored back at me. My phone remained silent. No messages from Ethan. Asterisk. No calls from Detective Hale came through again. I didn't dare reach out myself at all. They knew I was still alive anywhere. Whoever caused this nightmare might hunt them too. That night, I checked into a tiny motel using another false name. The air felt heavy, the silence unbearably thick. I opened my laptop to rewrite everything again. But once I connected to the motel Wi-Fi, a message instantly appeared. "Welcome back, Tessa," written bright across the screen. My heart pounded violently. I slammed the lid shut as panic surged. I unplugged the lamp, the clock, every device, and sat in darkness. For hours I stared at a blank wall, debating, running, or facing whatever hunted me now. Eventually, exhaustion overtook me. I drifted into sleep, but the dreams twisted. Rows of people stood shaped exactly like me, their eyes empty shadows. They faced flickering screens with numbered tags displayed. I was number 17. The woman beside me turned her head slowly, her mouth barely opening to whisper, "You shouldn't have run from them." I woke up gasping, drenched completely in sweat. The room remained quiet, yet fear lingered painfully. I checked the mirror, half expecting another face. My reflection blinked simultaneously. I laughed shakily, pretending I was simply overreacting. I decided to drive to the next town and find a payphone to call Detective Hale using an untraceable number. When he finally answered, his voice sounded heavy. "Who is this?" he asked, with suspicion thick. "It's me," I whispered. A long silence followed before he answered coldly. "That's not even possible. We found you already." "We confirmed the DNA. I'm alive," I insisted. "Someone else died there, someone who looked identical." He sighed deeply, saying, "You need to stop. Tessa, whoever you are, you're playing something dangerous." I froze instantly, asking, "What do you mean?" "Whoever I am," he repeated with hesitation building. "We ran background checks. There are 0 records of your birth anywhere. No parents. No schooling before you turned 21. It's like you appeared from nowhere entirely, and now there are 2. The line cut abruptly. I stood holding the receiver while knees weakened. Every part of me wanted to believe truth, that I was real, that my memories mattered. But what if? She was right all along. What if I truly was just a copy, one of many duplicates? In the following days, I kept moving constantly. Every motel required another name, another invented past. Sometimes my reflection lagged a second behind me. Each time it happened, I felt less human. One night, I discovered an envelope under my door with no name. Inside lay an ATM receipt folded very neatly. My chest tightened instantly as I unfolded it. The balance displayed $847,000. Below it, a message, "Welcome home," written cleanly. I wanted to scream, to run, to destroy the receipt completely, but some part of me refused to let go. Some part needed answers. Maybe escape wasn't possible. Maybe I was completing the cycle others followed. Maybe that explained why the system didn't delete me the moment discovered, because I finally became what they always intended. When I looked up, I caught my reflection moving differently again, smiling a moment before I even reacted at all. That was the moment I understood horrifying truth. I didn't survive that night inside the warehouse. The woman walking out was not the same one who walked in. With her human or copy or something merging both no longer mattered anymore. What mattered now was awareness. Awareness meant danger. If you're hearing this, remember every part here. Never ignore your instincts. Never trust your eyes. Sometimes the scariest thing isn't losing identity itself, but realizing you never truly existed at all. Before you go, make sure to subscribe now to my channel for more twisted real mysteries. And let me know in comments where you're watching from right now. Stay curious, stay careful, and never check receipts that don't belong to you in the first place ever again.